Good morning. My name is Candida Steele. Does that help? My name is Candida Steele, and I'm a judge on the U.S. Civilian Board of Contract Appeals. I handle government contract disputes across the country. To my left?
I'm Fred Ansell. I'm an attorney with the Justice Department. I used to work for the Senate Judiciary Committee. I've spent many hours in this room. You know, this is the room where all of the federal judges, except Supreme Court justices, have their confirmation hearings. They sit right where you're sitting.
And good morning, Missouri. I'm Rick Hardy, one of the Hardy brothers. And as you well know, I taught at the University of Missouri for almost 30 years and I'm very familiar with your state. And I'm proud to be here today, so good luck to you. Please introduce your...
Hi, I'm Grace Johnson, and like all my colleagues, I am a senior at Westminster Christian Academy, and I will be attending University of Tulsa in the fall.
Hi, my name is Alex Lundstrom, and in the fall I'll be attending the University of Missouri.
Hi, my name is Leah Youngkin. I will be attending Wheaton College in the fall, and at this time I'd like to introduce our coach, Mr. Ken Besh.
Welcome, everybody. And you know which question we're doing because it's the last one we've got to do, but I'll read the question for the advantage of your audience. Congress is the only national legislature in the world whose members are elected both separately from the executive branch and entirely from single-member districts. What are the benefits or advantages of this arrangement? What might be the advantages of mingling executive and legislative powers, such as in the British parliamentary system? The disadvantages? Why has the creation of congressional districts been controversial throughout American history? You may begin.
There are many benefits of electing members of Congress separately from the executive branch and entirely from single-member districts. First, separate election allows for a check on both executive and legislative power. Congress checks the president through congressional oversight. For example, Congress formed the Senate Watergate Committee to investigate President Nixon's involvement in the Watergate scandal. The president checks Congress through the veto. For instance, President Ronald Reagan vetoed the Urgent Supplemental Appropriations Act of 1982.
Second, when the president and Congress are from different parties, executive and legislative power is further checked. During his second term, President Bill Clinton was compelled to adopt a more moderate position due to a Republican majority in Congress and their Contract with America party platform.
Lastly, since members of Congress are elected from single-member districts, they are held more accountable to their constituents rather than their party. For example, with a Democratic president and a Democratic majority in Congress, President Obama's health care bill should have passed easily. However, it was held up by his own party. With the impending election, many Democratic congressmen were reluctant to vote along party lines in order to increase the likelihood of re-election. This situation would not occur in a parliamentary system where executive and legislative powers are mingled and party loyalty is paramount.
There are both advantages and disadvantages to a parliamentary system, such as in Great Britain. First, one advantage of this system is that government is unified and is able to legislate and execute policy efficiently. When the people vote for members of parliament, they are endorsing a party platform. The victorious party then elects a prime minister from within itself and claims the mandate to govern. For example, due to the Labour Party's dwindling popularity in the late 20th century, the Conservative Party gained the majority in Parliament and with Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher enacted sweeping reforms toward a free market economy.
Second, in a parliamentary system, government is held responsible to the people through the vote of no confidence. Recently, the threat of a vote rather than a vote itself has been the motivating factor. For example, Labour Party Prime Minister Tony Blair disregarded the will of the British people by endorsing the Iraq War and resigned in fear of a vote of no confidence.
On the other hand, there are also many disadvantages to a parliamentary system. First, there is no substantial check on legislative power. The framers of our Constitution recognized this and sought to avoid it by creating a system of checks and balances. As George Washington said, quote, "The necessity of reciprocal checks in the exercise of political power has been evidenced by experiments ancient and modern."
Second, in a parliamentary system, there is too much party control and little minority voice. For example, Labour Party Prime Minister Gordon Brown has called an election for May 6th, hoping to eliminate the Conservative Party's minority opposition to his economic recovery plan.
The creation of congressional districts has been controversial throughout American history. First, the practice of gerrymandering began in 1812 when the Massachusetts legislature redrew the boundaries of its districts to favor Governor Elbridge Gerry. The Supreme Court has wavered in its rulings on gerrymandering cases. In the 1981 case of Davis v. Bandemer, the Supreme Court ruled that gerrymandering did not violate the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. But later, in Shaw v. Reno, the court ruled that gerrymandered districts did violate this clause.
Second, because the Constitution does not specify how congressional districts should be drawn, this task is left to the state legislatures. This has been controversial as committees in the legislatures will draw districts to benefit their party. For example, Missouri's 1st and 3rd congressional districts are often considered to be drawn in favor of the Democratic Party, while the 2nd district favors the Republican Party.
Finally, the number and size of congressional districts has been controversial. For example, the entire state of Wyoming is one congressional district due to its low population. Because of this, some argue that Wyoming is overrepresented, while others argue that it is underrepresented. The creation of congressional districts will continue to be controversial as the 2010 census will call for the refiguring of many of the state's districts.
We are now ready for your follow-up questions.
Great, thank you. Happy to do so. Would you like to start?
In 1961, John F. Kennedy, after the Bay of Pigs fiasco, called in the CIA director and said to him, if we had a parliamentary system, I would have to resign. But we have a presidential system, so you're going to resign. What do you think are the reasons why that works differently in the presidential and parliamentary systems, and which do you think is the better approach?
One of the main reasons that works differently is because of the vote of no confidence. If the will of the people or the parliament, in our case Congress, is against the president, then they can vote the prime minister out of office. So in that case, after the Bay of Pigs invasion, when public opinion turned against him, he could have been voted out of office, but in our system, that's not possible.
In addition, to go along with my colleague, in our system we do not have a vote on confidence, but we have the form of impeachment. And there have only been 2 presidents that have ever been impeached. Andrew Jackson was one president to have been impeached, and then President Nixon, and I guess 3, and then Bill Clinton was impeached. But Nixon resigned before he was actually impeached, and Clinton was acquitted before the Senate. And therefore, if we had a vote of no confidence, we would have been able to go through more of the people's will, and John F. Kennedy probably would have had to resign.